Hey everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you. I'm going to talk about No Time to Die, the latest James Bond installment, and just give some quick reporting over its box office weekend in its second week of release. Now, the James Bond installment opened internationally in its first week on the 30th of September, primarily in the UK and other markets, and in its second week it's made its big opening weekend within American theatres. Now, there may be some slight spoilers when watching this video, so just beware if you haven't seen the film yet, and you can also check out my non-spoiler and spoiler reviews of the movie itself, and I will leave the links for those within the description. So going back to the movie's box office, and it opened up in America at #1 and it debuted to a 56 million opening weekend. Now, many pundits have felt this was slightly disappointing because due to earlier pre-sales and tracking, many were predicting that it would become the first big event movie post the pandemic to gross over 100 million in its opening weekend, but it's fallen quite short of that overall goal. Now, there have been many reasons and speculation about why it didn't gross as much as many people had predicted. It is of course some way down from Venom, Let There Be Carnage's opening of 90 million, and that of course became the most top opening box office weekend throughout the entire year. Now, many have cited that perhaps James Bond attracted more to adult audiences rather than younger audiences, as what we saw definitely with Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and perhaps more older adults weren't quite as enthusiastic about venturing out to cinemas rather than younger audiences were. And I suppose that's the case, and I think overall when we look at the Bond franchise, while yes, for the most part it's always been a PG movie or a PG-13 rated franchise, it's always appealed more, I believe, to older audiences because that is coming from a generation who have very much been invested in the franchise. Everybody who watches these films will have fond memories of Sean Connery, Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan within the role as James Bond. Many younger audiences today will primarily only remember really Daniel Craig as James Bond, so they won't really much have an investment as what older generations have. So I think that was one of the key reasons perhaps why younger audiences didn't really play out as much as older audiences did throughout this movie. And of course, the movie's runtime, around 2 hours and 40 minutes, meant of course that it would get less showings per theatre. And again, in this post-pandemic climate, when of course everybody is far conditioned to watching a lot of content on streaming, having to venture out to a film that's over 2 hours and 40 minutes, again, may have turned off some people, particularly when you look at Daniel Craig's James Bond as a whole, when it's really much more of a serious tone, not having very much of those escapist and adventurous elements that we normally associate with the character of James Bond. So that's what I feel was another main reason perhaps why it didn't quite get to the $100 million opening that everybody was predicting it to be so. But having said that, it's not all bad news, because internationally the film has managed to cross over 313 million worldwide, which is a great take for the movie overall. Now, to be honest, James Bond films tend to always perform very much more overseas than what they do in US cinemas, and that's just because the franchise itself has always had a far wider global recognition throughout its many years of existence, so it's no surprise there. And the movie is still due to open in China on October the 29th, so we'll wait and see how well it performs overall in that territory when it's released. The previous film, Spectre, I believe grossed something in the region of around 80 million over there, so if No Time to Die can get a similar performance in China, then that will bode very good for the film. And as I've mentioned in previous reports, it's often been speculated and almost confirmed that this film has to make anywhere from 800 to 900 million worldwide just to break even. Still a ridiculous situation that I still find hard to believe overall. But if we look at it currently, where it's already at 300 million, I would predict that it's probably going to get close to 700, maybe 750 million worldwide. Now, I would think overall that's a very good take for a James Bond film, particularly it being the last entry for the Daniel Craig franchise, and also the fact that it's 2 hours plus 40 minutes long. So to gross over 700 million, I think it's great, and it still has a great chance, I feel, of overtaking Fast and Furious 9 to become the highest grossing movie within 2021. We could also be critical of the release strategy of these films. The fact that it was released a week before in international markets, before it came to the US, that of course means that you're leaving a lot of scope for spoilers to be revealed about the film's ending, which was controversial for certain fans within the franchise, and of course many people would have heard of that ending prior to it coming out in America, and they may have decided they didn't like how the film ended overall, and therefore that would have put them off in terms of venturing out to the cinema. So there's a whole multitude of reasons perhaps why James Bond didn't get to the magical $100 million mark, but despite that, I think its international performance overall still garners a lot of positivity, not only for the franchise but just cinemas in general, that I still believe people are willing to go back to cinemas if indeed the movie generates enough hype and interest for them to do so. So we will wait and see in the next upcoming months or so. We look at the few next big releases coming very soon. We do of course have Dune coming out, I believe late October. To an extent I will discount Dune because it's already been an international release now for I guess now nearly 4 weeks, and also the fact that it will be simultaneously streamed on HBO Max. So we're not really expecting any big box office performance from Dune in the long term. Ghostbusters Afterlife I believe is due to release around about the middle of November, so we will wait and see how that performs. We will be looking very much at Eternals, the latest installment within the Marvel Cinematic franchise. Will it be able to continue to build on the momentum set by Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which recently crossed over 400 million at the box office? Eternals as well will be an exclusive theatrical release only, so we will garner a better perspective on how well big event films are performing, certainly within the next 4 to 5 weeks, before we come to December and undoubtedly the highest grossing movie of the year, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. So we will look to see in the future how all of these big event films performs, and when we get significant box office achievements, I will of course report them regularly within this channel. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on James Bond No Time to Die latest box office performance and its opening weekend within the US cinemas. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very soon.